I want you to get out your violin and try something with me that at first will seem very simple, but will also likely reveal some very clear weaknesses in your playing. So bow an open string, doesn't matter which one, and then finger a scale on the other strings. Did you find your bow automatically going to where your fingers were instead of just staying on its own string like it's supposed to? One of the biggest hurdles that all violin students inevitably encounter is that while the left and right hands must work together, for really stellar violin playing, you must be able to control them independently. And I have a trick that's going to make that a lot easier. I'm Tobias Murphy, and this is Murphy Music Academy. Of course, if you find you need some more personal help detangling your left hand from your right hand, then please shoot an email to admin@murphymusicacademy.org to set up a trial lesson with myself or one of our other wonderful teachers here at Murphy Music Academy. See this? That's an email I got from a very satisfied student not but a week ago. That could be you, but you haven't emailed Murphy Music Academy, so it's not. Anyway, when it comes to the left and right arm, hands, and fingers, we all know that they have to be very well coordinated. If you're a violin beginner, then you are probably already very aware of what an uncoordinated bow and violin hand sound like. But once you've gotten your left and right hands to generally work together, the next level is for the movements to be independent of each other, but still coordinated. If you don't do this, you're going to find yourself having some very serious trouble fully controlling your technique. For example, I had a student today that I was working with trying to disentangle the speed of his shifting with the speed of the bow. For example, he would want to, when shifting very quickly and directly, his bow speed being unfortunately and suddenly influenced by the speed of his hand doing the shifting motion. Another example, like what we talked about in the beginning, is playing an open string and simultaneously moving the left hand either to a new string or to a new position. For example of this, you can look at this fingering in the second movement of Mozart's Third Violin Concerto. If I wasn't able to separate the motion of my left hand with the motion of my bow, I might find myself, while shifting to fourth position on the E string, having my bow following my left hand there, instead of just playing the open A, giving my left hand ample time to get to the new note cleanly. Now, the ultimate tutor for having your left and your right hand motions completely disentangled but also coordinated is mostly going to be good old trial and error and developing a good mind-muscle connection. However, there is an approach that I can show you that will make this process a lot easier, and that is understanding the three rhythms that are happening while you're playing. The rhythm of the music that we all hear, the rhythm of the bow, and then of course the rhythm of the left hand. For example, let's go back to that bit in the Mozart Concerto. Now, the actual rhythm is what we hear that Mozart wrote. But there are two other rhythms that we have to understand and then isolate in our practice. First, let's do the rhythm of the bow. Now, because we're doing slurs, the rhythm of the bow here is quite simple. And it can be written out like this and go something like this. Next, we have the rhythm of the fingers. Now, you might be thinking, isn't the rhythm of the fingers just the rhythm that Mozart wrote? But if you think that way, that's where you're going to find yourself playing with subpar technique. Because for these string crossings, and especially for that shift that I talked about earlier, your left hand is going to have to learn how to prepare the fingers and the hands ahead of time. Take the most obvious example, that shift. As I'm playing that open string, as I said before, I want my left hand to already be moving to fourth position. So the rhythm of the left hand in that particular instance would look something more like this. And for some of these string crossings, I might want to get my fingers to the new string ahead of time, which means that the rhythm of the left hand would actually look more like this in those particular scenarios. And then when we know both the left and the right hand rhythms, we can practice them separately. And then, when you add the two hands together, you can think of them as, of course, happening at the same time, but not being entangled with each other. You just have to coordinate them so they line up. They're separate motions, separate hemispheres of the brain controlling each one, but they just so happen to be lining up together to make beautiful music. It may seem a small thing, but learning to think and practice your music this way can really go a long way in helping you have complete independence on both sides of your body. This is one of the most useful approaches I've ever found to practicing good technique, so I wanted to make sure I made at least one little video to share it with you. Also, if you really want to take your violin playing to the next level, you need to be regularly playing with other people, and especially with the accompaniment, whether it's an orchestra or a piano. But what if you don't really have anyone to play with? Well, let's fix that with today's sponsor, TomPlay. TomPlay offers a collection of thousands of scores that not only allow you to play off them like a normal score, but most importantly gives you the opportunity to practice with accompaniment in the comfort of your own home. For instance, here's me playing the Mendelssohn Concerto with the Gewandhaus Orchestra Leipzig. But wait! There's more. Not only can you adjust the tempo so you can play with the orchestra at any stage of learning a piece, but you can also edit, mark up, and annotate your score as well. Rarely do we see any real innovation in practice tools for classical music, and TomPlay is definitely that. They are offering a 14-day free trial with no strings attached, so be sure to check them out using my affiliate link in the description. Anyway, I've been Tobias Murphy for Murphy Music Academy, always here to remind you there is no pleasure in mediocrity. Happy practicing, and I'll see you next time.